All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. We are filming today on Super Bowl Sunday and got to give a shout out to the guru who's 25 years old today. Happy birthday, Rick.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
How's it feel to be 25?
Oh, it feels great. Again.
All right, we had a really cool show today. We got Dwayne Lewis and Jordan Crawford, one of Rick's Mr. Basketball candidates in the back. So if I can find the music, we're going to get started on the backside of this. All right, guys, we're going to bring in one of the best basketball coaches in North Carolina who's already checking his game plan for next week. See, we caught you, Coach, checking that game plan.
My bad.
We caught you. It's Dwayne Lewis of North Mecklenburg High School, and I'm also going to bring in one of his star players, Jordan Crawford of North Mecklenburg High School. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Well, let's start with Dwayne. You guys are 20-4, I believe. A little bit different position going to the conference tournament this week. Normally, you're the hunted team. This year, you're kind of the hunter. How do you like that position?
It's a little bit different, but we feel like that we've played a good schedule. We got beat by the team, Archbishop Spalding up there, and John Wallen. They're ranked top 25, and then Chambers is they're a really good program, really good team. They got us in overtime twice, and then Norco Net, one of the top teams in the state of Georgia. So we were right there, but we're ready to roll. Hopefully we're hitting our stride here for the playoffs, and we'll go out there and give it our best shot.
What do you think you guys need to do to make that run and get past the Chambers, like in the championship game, if it comes out on Friday?
Probably stop Daniel Sanford. I mean, he's been really unbelievable against us both games. At the start of the year, we're finding ourselves right now. Jeremy went to Oak Hill. He was really good for us, and so we worked all summer with him, planning our offense around. He left, which you can't blame a kid. You can't get mad at a kid for going to Oak Hill. And then we came up with another game plan, and then Davion Cunningham, who I feel like is a stud, a really good player, he tears his knee up. So we had to create another offense without him. He was our all-conference point guard last year. So then we had to move – Randall was talking about we had to move Maxwell Coles, who was off the ball, onto the ball. And then Davion came right back at Christmas, and we brought him along slowly. But I feel like we're all at 100% right now. Isaiah Evans really stepped up a lot. But we just got to come up, at this time of year, loose balls, boxing out, paying attention to details. And I think our guys in those 4 games that we've lost, they're figuring out now that, those 50-50 balls, those end-of-quarter situations are the difference in winning and losing the game. And hopefully we'll pay attention to detail and try to make a run at the conference tournament and try to win a few games in state playoffs.
Try to win a few games in state playoffs. That's not the goal of North Mecklenburg.
We just one game at a time. There's a lot of good teams out there.
How much has it changed, Dwayne, since you've been coaching? And how is it harder now to win a state championship, or do you think maybe it's not quite as hard as it used to be?
Oh shoot, man! It's just tough. You're having to play 6 games, and I've had years where I thought that we were really good, and might should have made it, and then just little things happen up. I remember the one year we lost it in 2006. My kid Reginald Williams Harpo, he tore his shoulder up, and he went out there and played, and they beat us in overtime. But you have to be lucky. You have to deal with some breaks and injuries. It's been a long season, and I always say if you can get to the regionals, anything happens, because then you're going on a neutral floor. Now the Final Four, it used to be the Elite Eight and the Final Four, and anything can happen. But it's tough every year. So many good coaches and good teams that it's just like I said, getting to the regional state championship it's a big deal.
Hey, Coach, you have a great track record of sending guys to the next level at the collegiate level. I have really two questions for you. One is, how's the game changed in the last 5 years? And how do you convince the young players the importance of playing JV basketball, which you have a tremendous program, and just waiting their turn?
I'm old school. I mean, I'm a player's coach. I love my players. They know that. Jordan could attest to that. I'm loyal, but also there's some things that we think are best for the program and for kids. And we have been fortunate enough that kids buy in. And I think I said it last year, some kids do, some don't. And that's the way it is. But I really believe that I want some of my guys to develop a type A personality. And, Jalen Withers at Louisville, we played him JV, and you have people work against you and say, oh, man, you'd play varsity over here. Well, playing varsity isn't always the thing. And when Jalen came up from JV to varsity, he was our best player. And he needed to play the JV. He could have been varsity that ninth grade year, and he would have developed into a role player. Oh, they're not counting on me. With our JV team, they go against my first team every day, and they're having to go against Division I guys. And the same thing with Isaiah Evans this year. He needed that confidence where it was his show last year on JV, and he stepped right into us this year. And he didn't know any better. He's like, hey, get me involved here. And we've been blessed that the ones who have bought into it, it's paid off for them. I can't talk about what other programs do, but here, with only having one gym, all these other schools are getting two gyms. We have to practice together every day. So I have to be creative with it. And a lot of times, our first team JV, those guys, there's 3 or 4 of those guys who could be playing varsity, but would they really be playing? And that's the question a parent has to ask. And that's the question the kid has to ask. And the thing with it is we sit down and ask them, you can play varsity, you're not going to get to play a lot, or you can play JV and you come out of the game when you ask to come out of the game. So it's a fine line, but I'm just happy that we've a lot of kids have bought in, and we've been able to develop kids for the next level, because that's the ultimate goal. You want to win state championships, but my goal is to try to get kids to go to college and get the opportunity to do and see something that they might not be able to do.
And I think all the players that played JV, it benefited them and it prepared them to play on the varsity team, and they've all benefited as far as playing at the next level.
Well, I think like Jordan Crawford's on here right now. Hey, Jordan played JV as a ninth grader, and I'm sure he had 6 schools coming out of Piedmont that told him he'd play varsity as a ninth grader. Well, I never told him that. Figured out, and he was a little fella. I mean, Jordan was a little guy, and he did a great job on JV, and then he came up 10th, 11th, and 12th, and every year he's gotten better and better. And that's the one thing our seniors, usually at North, they've taken ownership in the program. They're leaders. They're able to go to those younger guys like, hey, he's tough on you. You're going to get better, and it's going to pay off in the long run. And that's what we're wanting, that these kids, we're too much in an instant gratification society. Sometimes you got to tough it out, learn the ropes, and it'll pay off in the long run, majority of the time.
Jordan, I mean, talk about that a little bit. I mean, you were one of the best players growing up. You get to North Meck, and you could have started a lot of places as a ninth grader. What was it like when you and Coach had that conversation about playing JV, and how did your friends take it, and how did you take it?
When I first came, I pretty much knew like I was gonna play JV, like who was already on the varsity team. So I just came in ready to play. And my family didn't really say nothing about it. JV was probably the best choice instead of playing varsity at like a school where like they wasn't gonna get that much wins, but I was gonna play. So I feel like I made the right decision.
How much did it help you develop playing that 1 year on JV?
It helped a lot. My confidence went up. Playing JV, getting to play against like Tristan, Traden, and like Shaman, Damaro, and then my freshman year, and then that helped me a lot. Helped me be able to play varsity the next year.
Yeah. talk about your senior season so far. Coach Lewis has you as one of the finalists for Mr. Basketball, the State Player of the Year, going to College of Charleston. Has the wait kind of to be the man been worth it? Because I know you had to wait and watch other people. Well, you could have been the man a lot of places, but has the wait been worth it?
Yeah, it's worth it. I wasn't really rushing it. It's nice to be one of the top guys. You get to show like what you really been working on, what you've been holding. So that's pretty good.
All right, let's go back to Coach Lewis. I think Gary had a question for you, Coach.
Okay.
What's up, Dwayne?
How you doing?
We both were kind of like proteges of Coach Holden. You played basketball for him. You sat next to him. I played football for him when I was at North. What part of what you learned from Coach Holden do you still carry? And then what is it that you've changed from early in your career that you thought maybe you wouldn't do, but now you're doing?
Well, I always, Coach Holden is my mentor. He's, I don't want you slang. He's my guy. Jimmy Poole, who's a North Meck guy, he was the principal. Him and Coach Holden took a chance on me. I got out of college, came here, and, Coach Holden had the heart problems in the middle of that year, and I took over. And then, I was blessed enough that they took a chance on a young guy to take over, and there was a lot of college coaches who had applied for the job. And, the one thing with Coach Holden, I remember when I first started, I was really intense with it and running it like a college practice. And he wouldn't ever yell at me. He'd just come over there and like, yeah, I don't think we probably need to do that drill anymore. He wouldn't get on me. He just at the end of practice, like, let's back off that one. I was like, all right, I got you, Coach Holden. But, with him, he's a loyal guy. We talk about that a lot at North Meck. I think I'm a really loyal guy, and the sense of pride he had in North Meck basketball, and that's what we try to talk to our players about. The city's gotten bigger, but we talk about him a lot. The floor's named after him. I bring him up in my PE classes all the time. It's like he's still here, and he still comes to most of our games. But he was an intense guy. A lot of people knows the older Coach Holden. He was an intense guy in his earlier years, but he was a compassionate guy, and he loved his players and he loved his kids. And I think that's one thing that I've taken from him. You can drive and go at your kids, but at the end of the day, you got to love them. I love my guys. And as far as what I do differently now, I'm probably a little more laid back than I was 15 years ago. I guess that gets with age and maturity. Every game isn't a state championship game. I was coaching every one of them like this is it. And you can't do that. It'll wear on you. So I think that's my biggest strength now is that I'm a little more patient with the guys, but we still hold them accountable. And one thing I was going to add on Jordan there, Jordan said a great thing when he was in ninth grade going up against DeMar Anderson, who's at Coker, Shaman, who's at Independence, and Tristan and Traden. He also got to understand, hey, there's a physicality of a high school guy. And those ninth graders that come in, a lot of times they're not ready physically. And it got them to buy into the weight room and the running that we do on the track. And now if you look at Jordan from ninth grade to his senior year, if he took his shirt off or if y'all seen him with his shirt off or not an undershirt, he's a big, strong guy. He's able to take the contact and he will be ready in college. But that's the biggest growth with young guys. It's, you got to be strong. Even in high school, your senior, you got to be strong and athletic. And I just don't think there's a lot of ninth graders ready to play, West Charlotte or Advance who just really have unbelievable guards out there. So ours learn and practice that, wow, I do need to buy in this weight room that Coach Lewis is on us about all the time.
Second question for you, Dwayne.
Yeah.
And this is kind of funny, but I watched you during the Chambers game, and You were up and down the sideline. As coaches, we call it working the officials. And a couple of younger coaches asked me, well, what is he talking about? Every possession, he's talking to the officials. So why don't you let our viewers know, what are you saying to the officials as you work them during the game?
Usually, I mean, just finding out good places, good restaurants to go eat if they went anywhere, good places where they're going after the game, things like that.
Jordan, what is Duane saying on the sideline during the games?
I have no idea.
That's good. That's a smart answer. That's the right answer.
No, the refs, they, I've gotten way better with that too. Sometimes, you get into it, but I have some of my old players there. It's like, you sit down all the time now. I'm just like, yeah, but every once in a while you have to talk to them. And like that crew that we had over there at Vance, they were really good. I would know they were. I think the biggest thing, and we talked about it yesterday at conference meeting, the mask thing. And I understand it. I'm a proponent. Yeah, my voice means nothing. Maybe they shouldn't be playing on the floor with masks, but everybody on the sideline have them on like a college game, because it's tough. It's tough on those refs. They're having to worry about two really good teams like Chambers and North. They got to worry about fouls off the ball. I mean, there's so much, and they're worried about masks because they have to be. I think something. Hopefully by next year it'll be done, or maybe by the playoffs. But I give credit. The refs are doing a great job, and sometimes you just, you question some things, but half the time we're wrong. The coaches are wrong. We're seeing it through our eyes. So hats off to all the officials who are having to deal with all of us coaches who think we're right all the time.
Coach Lewis, I'd like to combine a couple of points you made in your previous comments. You mentioned the importance of mentioning Coach Holden to students in class settings now so they understand his place in North Mecklenburg history. And you mentioned how you can't blame a kid for wanting to go to Oak Hill. Well, I want to combine those two things. First off, with a nod to North Mecklenburg basketball history, and also to say that, frankly, I take offense to kids going to Oak Hill. You look at 6 names in the annals of North Mecklenburg basketball history: DeMarco Johnson, Titus Ivory, Jason Parker, Jamie Skeen, Jalen Withers, and Jeremy Gregory. You have Johnson and Ivory, both of whom already had seen Junior Burrow and Jeff McGinnis depart West Charlotte to go to Oak Hill, yet Johnson and Ivory stayed at North Mecklenburg. Jason Parker, say what you will about that situation. His mother was a Charlotte Mecklenburg school systems employee at West Charlotte. You can have your child at your school. That is what it is. Jamie Skeen stayed at North Mecklenburg. He went on to play in the Final Four. Jalen Withers and Jeremy Gregory opted to go elsewhere. What is it specifically that parents do not understand about the formative education-based athletics experience? Or in other words, what specifically do student athletes and parents say they are seeking in a formative education-based athletics experience that they deem it necessary to leave a school and program like North Mecklenburg?
Well, on that, you can't speak for everyone. I grew up with Titus and DeMarco, and they were great ambassadors, great players at North Meck. DeMarco was at our game last week, and Titus, he's still here in Charlotte coaching. So, and Terrell, I coached his little brother, Terrell. That was my first years. But, I wasn't here for the Jason Parker era. But, you can't the one that you left out, who's probably one of the household names right now, Davion Mintz. I mean, Davion Mintz was smart as a whip. Great kid, could have went anywhere, and he chose to stay at North Meck. But you can't, in today's world, it's not like when we were going Langston and Richmond and myself were going to CMS, and it was 10 schools, and you were going to go to your school and stay. There's different avenues and different opportunities, and you can't get I don't get frustrated about it. They think, parents have the right to take their kids somewhere else. And it is what it is. I mean, Jeremy Gregory was a great player at North Meck. He's a great player at Oak Hill. He's going to college, and there's nothing, as Jordan can attest. I never complain about it. That's just, it is what it is. So you want them all to stay, but you also know you're in a business that people are going to come and go. And Withers, he was a special kid. Jalen was really, really good. He was player of the year there over Patrick, or with him in 11th grade. But and it's worked out for both of them. I mean, the thing with it, it's worked out for both of them. And we never want to lose anyone, but that's, you don't get frustrated by it. I always tell the guys in the locker room, we talk about it once. Jordan knows it. I tell him, you don't do not judge them, let them go on, and that's the way we're going to go with it. And we're not going to talk about it anymore. We got to come out with another way to win. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they ain't coming back, so I don't really get frustrated with it. We just move on, and Jordan can attest to that. We didn't want to lose Jeremy, but he's done well at Oak Hill, and I also think we've had guys step up, and we've done well at North Meck.
Let me follow up on that, Jordan. In a program like North Mecklenburg, what is the chatter among the players like when coaches aren't around in terms of the setting and pursuit of season goals? Or more specifically, okay, you come into a season, yes, you want to win a state championship. There's no question about that. That is an expectation and something that is attainable at North Mecklenburg. But beyond that understood goal, when coaches aren't around, how do players go about discussing, identifying, setting goals, and talking about the pursuit and achievement of those goals just among themselves?
Go ahead, Jordan. Jordan, I think your mic's off. We can't hear you. Jordan, your mic's off. We can't hear you. I think we lost Jordan. I can't hear you, sir.
Well,
there you go.
I think we do a pretty good job of setting goals. Oh.
Technical.
Can you hear me now?
Getting the text message.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, we can hear you. I think we may have lost Jordan.
Yeah. Coach Lewis,
What?
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Y'all can hear me?
I hope that everybody heard you. One of the huge things that I think a lot of kids don't understand is what you talked about earlier, and I hope it didn't go over a lot of people's heads.
It's not working.
When you talked about having a type A personality. I know that every team's different, and you talked about how some kids are better served on JV for that exact purpose. Are there specific kids that you kind of point out and say, this kid is perfect for this situation because he can develop that type A personality that I'm going to need for the next 3 years?
No, we try. I mean, my assistants, I have a great staff, and myself, we spend a lot of time with these kids, and you can sort of see, especially like this year, we knew we had a senior loaded team. And last year with Chris Ford, Jeremy back there, you're trying to figure it out and how's this guy going to progress? But like with Isaiah, we knew he was going to be good. But he didn't play a lot in middle school, but we just knew his work ethic, the way he wanted to be in the gym, and we saw him sprouting up. But he needed to score 20 a game. he needed his teammates to be like, God, carry us. You know, Isaiah, you got to step up. And that's what's happened with him. I think with Jalen Withers, it was the same thing. You know, Jalen and Isaiah both were thin guys when they were 8th grade going to 9th grade. And I don't know that they would have developed as well going straight into varsity and getting role minutes. So we do try to pinpoint, everybody knows that everybody's coaches on here. The best players aren't always on varsity. You know, the best players aren't always on varsity. You know, you always got to have a couple that you're bringing up, and we try to see big picture 4 years, and you see it in certain kids. And, you know, Davion Mintz, he had to play varsity as a 9th grader because we were struggling that year, or he would have played JV. Yep. But we do want that. We want kids that, like Isaiah, could he have played varsity last year? Yeah, but he wouldn't have got to play over Chris Ford, Jeremy Gregory, Tony Waters, Davion Cunningham, and Jordan Crawford. Limited minutes. So you're trying to find the guys that you think can be special and take that to the next level. Kids get caught up, I played varsity as a 9th grader. Yeah, it's the end result. You know, where you're going to be at in 4 years.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the difference is from this team and the teams kind of over the last couple of years? What makes this team different than everybody else?
As far as us this year, these guys, I tell them, I haven't had a team like this in a long time, and Jordan will probably like, these guys will hang out in the locker room. They love each other. I mean, and that makes a world of difference. I mean, look, everybody can go like, oh, we expect this. We lost a lot last year. We lost Chris, Jeremy, Tony Waters, Cam Gate. I mean, we lost a lot of good players. But these guys, their chemistry is unbelievable. And not every team, you want to say, oh, they love each other. These guys, after the game, we come back up here, they want to hang out in the locker room till midnight. And I'm like, hey, I got to go home, fellas. After practice, they're in the locker room. I mean, they really do click.
Jordan, is this true? Is all this true? Do you guys want to leave the locker room after games?
Oh, he probably gone again.
We still can't hear Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan and Tyree Bracy and Davion. I mean, like, it honestly, there's 4 or 5 of them. They come up here, they'll go in the locker room. I'll be here downloading the game tape. But no, this group clicks. They got great chemistry. Where that takes us, I'm not exactly sure. But they are a connected bunch. And I've had so many teachers and college coaches and everything was like, this group gets along, don't they? I'm just like, yeah, not that the other ones didn't, but they cheer for each other. They're genuinely excited for each other. And, that makes it a little bit easier also that they are all in it together. And, Jordan's been a great leader. Davion's been a great leader. And, Tyree Bracy, I use him. His personality has come out this year. He's done some really good things for us. But all of them. And, when you got the young bloods in there, Isaiah and Trey Maxwell, they're 10th graders. They don't know any better. They're just running around wide open all the time. And, the personalities mesh together.
Hey, Coach, one last question. What temperature did you put the thermostat on for home games?
Hey, I wish, because it was funny. We went to our coaches meeting yesterday, and we were at West Charlotte. And all of them were like, good God, it's hot in here. And I was sitting there. I was fine. They were like, you don't think it's hot? I'm like, we would love this at North Meck, because usually when we come in here every day, it's about 35 degrees. So it's freezing in the gym. And then all of a sudden the heat kicks on at night and it's like 920 degrees. So, I feel you. We're like calling everything. But if you came in here in the morning, air's blowing out, something's wrong, and we're just like, what in the world? But
so there's only two temperatures, hot and cold.
That's right. Downtown controls it. I wish we could, but it does get hot in here, which is why I think North is a special place to play at. It's you can play a good team, you can play an average team, but we always feel like it's a crowd. Not comparing anything to Duke, but it's like playing at Cameron. Cameron's smaller than the Dean Dome and NC State, and here we're all on top of each other, so it's special place, special environment, and everybody wants to know we're getting a new gym. Hey, it's great, but I love playing in the Leroy Holden Court Arena. It's that's what North Meck basketball is about.
Well, the kids called it the Dwayne Dome now. I just want to let you know that.
Hey, Dwayne, that place is smaller now than it was when we were in high
they
school.
cut out
No
they
doubt.
created
Oh, yeah.
some,
It gets smaller and smaller. They'll come in, do something else, take 50 more seats out of it. Hey, it is what it is.
All right, Jordan, do we have you now? Jordan. We just cake.
Oh, Jordan, you're messing up his favorite part of the show.
I know, man. We're trying to get you to take on Randall. We can't get you. I tell you what, Jordan, use your phone, log out, and come back on your phone. Let's try your phone.
Yeah.
Because you're like on a delay or something. So log out and come back in on your phone. Let's try that. Randall, you might be lucking out this week.
Hey, if he can't get it, this is an automatic W, and that means my losing streak is officially off.
No. We'll let Dwayne take you on.
Let Dwayne take his place.
Coach Lewis will probably actually like that.
If he can't sign on, we're gonna have an all-time first and let Lewis take his place. All right, so I've been waiting on Jordan to come back on. I know you got another question for Coach in your mind.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Coach, as we move on and move forward.
Wait, Alex, hold on. Let's see. Jordan, are you back?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Now
there we go.
Let's get the game show going before we lose them again.
I know, right? All right, let me let me go to the game show. All right, so Jordan, how this works is there's gonna be some questions that come up on the screen, and Gary and myself are gonna read the questions. You have to let us ask the question, then you answer, and then whoever gets it right wins. There's like 5 questions. It's real simple.
All right.
And Randall has his little theme music where he brags on himself. He actually took an L last week, so he can't brag.
Yeah, I got to end this losing streak this week, Jordan.
Quite so much. Here we go.
I'm Randall Clark. I am not Sam Griner. You will not beat me on the game show.
All right, Jordan Crawford. Let's hope you stay around. Go ahead, Gary.
All right. Hey, Jordan, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. I don't know if you have a special loved one in your life, but I know it can be very traumatic for high school kids.
Yes.
But here we go. On average, how many marriage proposals are made around the world on Valentine's Day? A, 120,000. B, 220,000. C, 520,000. Or D, 420,000.
Okay, Jordan, let's get one right. Give me a good start.
I'm gonna go with D.
D, 420,000. Randall, what you got?
I got B, 220,000.
How did you know that, Randall?
Hey man, I'm a love guy. Come on now.
You have no idea. You just guessing in the room.
You have no faith in me every time we do this.
I don't. I actually want you to lose, so I'm pulling for the kids. Jordan, let's go. This second question. Wake Forest last made the NCAA tournament in 2017. Who was the Deacons' leading scorer that year? Was it Charlotte's Keyshawn Woods? Was it John Collins? Was it Brandon Childress? Or was it Brandon Crawford? Randall, you're up first this time. I'm sorry.
I believe it was C, Brandon Childress in 17.
Brandon Childress. Who you got, Jordan?
Can I pick the same answer as him?
You can.
Yeah, I'll go C.
The answer is B, John Collins. Averaged 19 points and 10 rebounds that year for the Deacons. So Randall still has his little lead. Third question for Gary. And here we go.
All right. The average ticket price for this year's Super Bowl has dropped to about $6,500. How much were tickets to the first Super Bowl? I'm gonna tell you, I paid $2,000 for tickets Super Bowl 30. All right, A, $12. B, $10. C, $20. D, $25. How much for the first Super Bowl?
What you got, Jordan?
I'll go B, $10.
$10. What you got, Randall?
I'm gonna go A, $12.
Dang, Randall.
Oh,
Oh my goodness,
Wow.
Jordan, you got to make a late rally for me, man.
Nah, Jordan's 0 for 3. He just got pulled out. He just got pulled out of the game if it was a North Meck game. Come
Going to the bench, Jordan.
3 misses, you out, man. We'll give you another
Going to the
chance.
bench.
Jordan.
All right. What famous candy bar, Randall, was named for its inventor's horse? Was it A, Almond Joy? Was it B, Mounds? Was it C, Snickers? Or was it D, Mr. Goodbar?
D, Mr. Goodbar.
D, Mr. Goodbar. Jordan, what do you got?
D.
Jordan, you don't want to always have to say it. Unless you know it. You don't want to
I don't know.
The answer is C, Snickers.
I
Come
should have
on,
went my
Jordan.
favorite there. I would have got it right.
All right,
I
so
don't eat Snickers.
the last question, and Gary's on the call. Here we go. Oh, wrong one.
Oh, B, John Collins.
Wrong one.
You don't even have to read it, Gary.
wrong one. Sorry about that. I have two. The way I tagged them was similar. All right, here we go, Gary.
Who was the last ACC team to win the NIT tournament? A, North Carolina, B, Notre Dame, C, Wake Forest, or D, Georgia Tech?
Jordan,
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Randall, what you got?
I can't lose, so I'm obviously gonna pick A, North Carolina.
The answer is C, Wake Forest. And Randall's playing like Sam. Gary, you see how Randall's playing like Sam?
Hey, I see what Randall was doing right there. I see what he was doing.
Oh, anytime I get a chance to throw Carolina under the bus, you know I'm taking it. Especially if I already sealed up the win.
You did seal up the win. Well, Jordan, since we got you back on microphone, tell us about the senior season. What do you hope to achieve? You're hitting the last part of your senior season. What are you hoping to achieve as you get out of North Meck?
Well, at North, I want to win the state championship. Everybody wants to do that. I've been thinking about player of the year, that conference player of the year, 1,000-point score, stuff like that.
Tell the College of Charleston fans what type of player they're getting in you next year.
Very athletic, entertaining person to watch. I can shoot the ball, dribble the ball, pass the ball. I can play defense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this young man's pretty well rounded, Coach. What do you think, Coach?
Jordan, these guys ask all the serious questions, man. I like to keep it loose around here. I gotta ask you something that I actually want to know.
All right.
Tuesday night. We got a game Tuesday night. What's on the playlist before Coach Lewis comes in for his pregame talk?
What I listen to when I got my headphones in is Little Baby. But, if we on the speakers, probably Young Boy, some Little Baby, stuff like that.
Hey, he's lying. I had to get on them all the time.
God.
They're in there singing freaking love songs. I've never had a team like that. And I'm like, what are y'all freaking doing? I'm telling you, yes, he knows it. Him embracing and Davion, I'm like, what is this? How are y'all getting up for a game to this? Jordan, you know it?
Yeah. He play it's motivational. He like to say his love songs is motivational.
What are you in there singing?
Nah, I mean sometimes we'll have Rod Wave playing, and he say his love songs and it's sad, but it'll kind of get you in the mode,
Dwayne,
Jordan, I understand where you're coming from, man. I get it.
Dwayne, where's the conference tournament this week?
It's at Mallard Creek.
At Mallard Creek. All right.
Yeah, at Mallard Creek.
Best of luck to you guys at Mallard Creek. Gary had a good suggestion last week. I wanted to ask you about this. He said that we ought to go back to the CMS tournaments at Bojangles Arena. Would you like to see that?
I mean, that's something, that was always unique. It was always better for college coaches. We're always saying that we're doing things best, what's best for kids. But I can remember when it used to be like that, so I would be fine with it, girls one night, guys one night, or however you wanted to arrange it. I mean, not separating us. I like with the girls being here, but I think it would everybody going to one site would be best for everyone.
Jordan, how'd you like that to play in front of 6,000-8,000 people over at Bojangles Arena?
Well, no, that's the thing. Then you also get to see other teams. Other teams get to see you. You're bringing all those fans in there together, and it just makes it for a better environment. So, like I said, I can remember back in the day when they used to do that, and it was always fun and interesting, and I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Jordan, as a player, how'd you like to play? Bojangles Arena, a huge crowd, everybody come to see you.
I love to play in that, big crowd, a lot of oohs and ahs when something happens.
Yeah, no, it used to be pretty special. Well, look, fellas, I appreciate you guys coming on. Sorry we had some technical difficulties, Jordan, but best of luck with the rest of the year. And hopefully we'll see you in the state championship in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
All right, Coach Lewis, appreciate you, man.
All right, we'll see you. Bass, keep them straight, Bass.
Do the best I can.
All right, we'll see y'all.
All right. That's the man, Dwayne Lewis. It's hard to get him on, but he's great when he comes on. So I always like having Dwayne Lewis. All right, let's jump into the rundown. Gary, only one ACC team is ranked in the top 25 right now, and that's the Duke Blue Devils. How many ACC teams do you think are going to make the NCAA tournament next month?
I'm going to say 6. Here's my 6.
All right.
Duke, of course, they'll be the automatic qualifier probably.
Right.
Notre Dame.
Yep.
Miami.
Yep.
North Carolina.
Yep.
Barely.
Not barely.
Wake Forest.
Barely.
Yep.
Wake Forest, and I think Virginia will get in. Yeah. And maybe even Virginia Tech, because Virginia Tech is 500 right now. They're 7-7. Yeah. I think if they can get to over 500 in the ACC, I think they'll get in as well.
They won 5 straight. Randall, you agree?
Oh, Gary loves the ACC. Your love for the ACC is abundantly true. This conference is down this year. This conference is not very good. If we're being honest, it should be 4 teams that make it, and those should be the first 4. I think Virginia has to make it to the final in order to get in. I think Wake would have to make it to the final to get in. And I think Virginia Tech would have to win the ACC tournament in order to get in. I just don't see how the ACC
has to make the ACC tournament final to make the tournament.
I don't see how anybody outside of those first 4 makes it. This conference is not very good this year.
I think Wake Forest gets in, even they're like 5th in the ACC. I can't see that not happening. But
Randall, you have to remember now, it's still entertainment, and CBS is looking for ratings.
Yeah, they want the big name teams. Absolutely.
And they want
I guess Wake Forest could play in one of those play-in games.
Oh boy! All right, Alex, it's conference tournament week for high school. Should the state keep the conference tournament format, or should they change it?
I'd like to begin by clarifying for everyone that conference tournaments never have been mandated by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. A review of the NCHSAA handbook for decades past through today reaffirms time and again that conference tournaments are decisions of individual conferences. So conference tournaments never have been mandated, are not mandated, and as far as I believe, never will be mandated by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. So this is a conference per conference decision. So let's just clarify that right now. This is not within the NCHSAA's purview. As for my personal opinion about conference tournaments, I think everybody here knows that I think that they should have been gone a long time ago. Conference tournaments serve absolutely no purpose whatsoever. Trying to capsulize let's take conference play alone, about a month's worth of the season into 3-4 days is absolutely ludicrous. Some people talk about how you might have a student athlete who returns at the midpoint between semesters. Well, I don't buy that at all. First off, take care of your academic responsibilities. And secondly, winter sports should be no different from fall sports and spring sports, which are not beneficiaries of a midpoint academic term break when student athletes could be in a position to return. I think that's a moot point whatsoever. Anyway, the authentic conference champion is the team that has the best overall record, having played every one twice, home and away, over approximately 1 month span for just your conference games. That is your conference champion. The conference champion never has been determined authentically by what happens in a 3 or 4 day situation. And this whole notion of kids coming back in the middle of the year, particularly if it was because of an academic deficiency, that is ridiculous. Absolutely no way around. Get rid of the conference tournaments. That's a conference to conference decision. The North Carolina High School Athletic Association has nothing to do with that. I am appalled by everyone in the public who tries to blame the NCHSAA, which is a beacon of athletics administration excellence on the international level. Trying to blame the NCHSAA for this is absolutely ludicrous, and it is false because there is no policy in place whatsoever. And furthermore, the elimination of conference tournaments will pave the way for other late season showcase events, including the Langston Works Charlotte Mecklenburg City County Championship.
There we go.
All jokes aside, it's that time of the year when we can get the best teams on the floor in a competitive setting that gives a different look from the conference tournament and positions them to get ready for the state tournament, all the while creating that city county championship field that Langston has advocated for decades. It's the time to do it during that week.
Yeah, Gary talked about the NCAA wanting big teams for the NCAA tournament. They also love those big teams and the money they can get on conference tournament week. They make a big deal out of it, and those teams, celebrate because they're going to the dance. I do agree with you, though. The real champion is the regular season champion. Coach Lewis, any thoughts on high school conference tournaments?
Well, as a fan and as a scout, I love the idea of a conference tournament championship. It also gives everyone that one last chance to play for something. And I think the one thing that we're seeing is if you look at some of the conferences, a lot of the conferences are very balanced. And, I'm looking at the Southwestern 4A. You had, Butler and Rocky River finished 9-3. Charlotte Catholic and East Mecklenburg finished 8-4. Independence at 5-5. So it will make some entertaining basketball this particular week. The same thing is even in, the conference at North Meck, the Queen City. As a fan, I'm loving the idea of seeing North Meck versus Chambers Part 3. So I think from a fan standpoint, I love it. As far as from a coaching standpoint, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But, I'm looking at all the balance. You look at the conference that Audrey Kell is in. You may have a team like South Meck who finished 5-5, but they had some very close losses. But it gives them an opportunity to play for something at the end of the season that a lot of these kids won't have that opportunity to play for. There's only one state champion per classification, but you have dozens and dozens regular season conference champions and also a tournament champion.
Yeah, I think high schools need to do a better job of celebrating that regular season conference championship. I see it in football, and I'm starting to see it in basketball, but we don't really celebrate it.
One of the things I hope that they will do, since they are going to do the conference tournament, is I would like to see them announce their all conference winners, the player of the year, the coach of the year. That should be done on championship night. I don't know if they do that, but I know
they wait until everybody's done playing because the coaches don't want to. They don't want to hurt people's feelings. Like somebody doesn't make it and they're mad. They go to the playoffs mad and hurt their team. Something that's what it's explained to me. But I do agree with you. I think
they need to recognize them in front of their peers instead of in the newspaper.
And let them come out.
And nothing wrong with the newspaper, but it should be done in front of their peers. Again, there are other students or student athletes. That's when they should do it. They voted on it yesterday. So the coaches already know who it is.
Yeah. Well, you see, the other thing here is, and to the point that Langston just made, we as a culture and society have gotten to the point where if the driving force in education and thus education-based athletics is not upsetting people, then we are missing the opportunity to affirm achievement. And that is academically, athletically, artistically, and in all things.
Right.
I'm not concerned about upsetting someone who did not make an all-conference team or was not named the player of the year. I am, as Gary said, dedicated to affirming the excellence of student athletes who should be able to compete in the state playoffs with the moniker of insert conference name player of the year or insert conference name all conference. You should be able to compete in the state playoffs with that moniker or tag that goes with you. That is an affirmation of excellence, not well, we don't want to upset someone. Well, then in trying not to upset people, you are precluding the affirmation of excellence by our students. And a student achievement is the name of our game, academically, athletically, artistically, and in all things. And we must find new and innovative ways to affirm achievement and excellence.
I want to come right back to you, Alex. Athens Drive beat Cardinal Gibbons win the Cap 6 title on Friday. Will those two meet again in the conference tournament finals, and somebody can get to it?
I was at that game, as a matter of fact, and the determinant as to whether those teams will meet again in the conference tournament final will be if Cardinal Gibbons can hit some shots. That's just the bottom line in that game right there. The Athens Drive defensive effort was very, very impressive. The inside-outside work of Athens Drive's Elijah Harris and Sean Kennedy put the Jaguars in a position to secure that win. Anytime you allow just 32 points, and he speaks very highly of your defensive effort, which Athens Drive did bring defensive intensity from the outset. Cardinal Gibbons also just didn't hit any shots as well. And were it not for Matt Field, the 6'6" pivot man on the inside, Gibbons really would have been in some trouble. But the two teams could meet again in the Cap 6 final next week. Gibbons is going to have to find a way to score some points. And I'll also acknowledge for Gary and Langston, who will understand that when I was at the game, yes, I did see Nick Drew and had a chance to speak to him.
Nick Drew is the defensive coordinator for the 4A state champs from Cardinal Gibbons. I was about to say 4AA. We abolished that this year. Rick and Randall, NCISA 4A Final Four favorites, and do you like the double bye? Rick, you go first.
Well, the four teams I have in it would be Carmel Christian, Greensboro Day, Providence Day, and Charlotte Latin. And the one thing about those four is you have three teams that play very similar style between Greensboro Day, Providence Day, and Charlotte Latin. They're both very methodical. They were half-court nominees for Player of the Year. I think the turnaround for Badgett and Carmel was the game they played at home against the Burlington school when they went to a big lineup, and they had a front line that was 6'7", 6'8", 6'10". And with that kind of size at the high school level, they could create a lot of problems for the 4A classification.
All right, Randall, do you like the double bye?
It makes for a coach to really have to determine how they're going to treat that week, and I think that's where it becomes important. I've seen some coaches who kind of change up how they do things that with the double bye, and it's bitten some people in the tail. So how you use the week leading up to with the double bye is extremely important, and I think it kind of determines, the start that your team gets off to. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's only a week off. Well, a week off in high school basketball is a very, very long time, especially with kids who are used to playing games, twice a week. Mm-hmm. And I've been in games where, the double bye and you come off in that first quarter, you get off to a real slow start. So I think how you treat practice as a coach this week is going to be extremely important for the four teams that Rick named, because I have those as the top four as well.
All right. Chelsea,
great mind thing alike.
As you guys can see, Chelsea's not here with us today. She did the interview with Shane Anthony from Crossroads Christian. He came over from Word of God, having a great season. Let's check it out.
So this week, I'm interviewing 6'1" guard Shane Anthony from Crossroads Christian Academy. So Shane, I want to start off by discussing you guys have an impressive winning record, 17-6, 6-2 in the conference. Just kind of talk about what it means to really have that winning record and how you guys push for it.
It feels pretty good. Like, I think before our transfer year last year, they were like 4-11 maybe and stuff, and a few guys transferred in and a few key guys stayed. So we just got better. We started off the season like 1-2, went on a big win streak and lost a few games, and we played like a tough Christmas tournament with Greenfield and Grace Christian, Raleigh, and Sanford. And then I think we've won our last 8 games. So then like 4 of them were conference. And tomorrow we got conference semis and then conference championship Friday.
Awesome. So with you guys being an individual school, kind of talk about the competition level that you guys play and also what you enjoy about this school, in the competition, since you're mentioning that you were a transfer in.
I came from Word of God, so we didn't even like have a conference. We played everyone.
Okay.
Like we played like 4 games a week. We just went everywhere. But I kind of like the smaller school aspect of it. Everyone in that city really cares about us winning and going to the States and just like the conference in general. It's fun competing with the same guys a few times. It's a different feel. Like the competition is, the good teams are really good, and then there's some teams that they just can't compete with us. But the good teams that are there's awesome hoopers.
Awesome. And between Word of God and Crossroads, you guys, or you specifically, have a lot of that, connection with small schools. Kind of talk about the benefits and the comparison between maybe like a 4A school or a public school.
I think the biggest thing would be like being in classes with your teammates. Like you have to like your guys because you're gonna be with them all day. You don't want to be like, if you guys aren't cool, it's not gonna be fun. You're just gonna be sitting in math class looking at the board. Like you can really make it fun. It'll translate on the court a lot.
That's great. And also being a 1A, or individual school, I'm sure you're really close with all your teammates. Kind of talk about how that relationship translate onto the court.
It translates really well. Like you want to see your guys do good. We're all a bunch of Raleigh guys driving into Henderson every day. Like my drive is 52 minutes every day to school. Like, that's a troop. But we all want to see each other do well on the court, which makes winning more fun. Like we're not gonna win if a dude's trying to go for 40 and 0 assists. Like any one of us can have a good game. I've had like 30 a few times. Our point guard had 30 last game. My boy JJ, he had 30 a few games ago, or 20 something. Like everyone can go off.
That's the best when teammates have that relationship. So Shane, kind of discuss what makes you a threat on the court and what makes you stand out as a player, as an athlete.
Definitely my first 2 years I was a straight sharpshooter, but the summer I finally grew like 6 inches, so I knew I had to add some stuff to my game. And we have a really good position coach at Crossroads. This guy named Rod Williams. He's the coach of Team Trez. So he worked with me a bunch, just improve my ball handle and stuff, which like helped me scoring a lot. So I'm not just getting boxing one off the 3 every time I start hitting. So I can actually start dribbling. So that helped a ton. And then,
Awesome.
Individually as a player, probably like I just have good academics, for recruiting and stuff. Like that always looks good. A lot of the guys on the team do actually.
So Shane, kind of talk about, I know you guys are in conference semifinals, heading towards a championship. Kind of talk about the team's overall goals and some of your individual also.
I got one of my individual goals. I said never mind, I can't say that yet. But Friday, they'll talk about like all conference and stuff. But the team goal, we definitely want a conference championship. Our coach Scotty, he hasn't won a conference championship yet at his time at Crossroads. He's only been here a few years, and like this is like his first recruiting class really there. So hopefully, we'll win tomorrow, Thursday. We played Lee Christian twice. We beat him twice. We have a lot of confidence going into that game. So hopefully we can get that game done with quick and go into Friday with a lot of confidence for Crossroads Christian, who's a really good team. But I think my guys got them.
For sure. And with that, conference winning goal in mind, how do you guys implement that in practices?
I think the funniest thing we've done is like Grace is mad loud at their place. Like their student section is like fun to play against. Like I like playing under that type of pressure. It makes it just basketball supposed to be fun. So we have a loud sound system. So we hooked up some fan noise while we were practicing. It was so loud.
Wow.
Like that's
what I haven't heard before. So finally, what's one lesson you've learned this season that you can really apply, for your senior year and also just share to your teammates?
I think one lesson is like how important caring about your teammates and team chemistry is. Like no team's good at all when you aren't cool with your teammates and you don't care about each other's success. Like one of our really good glue guys, Mason, signed today to a D3 for basketball. So like that was really cool to see. Hopefully the rest of the seniors will sign soon.
For sure. Love that, hearing that. And again, thank you so much for hopping on. For those watching, this is Shane Anthony, 2023 guard from Crossroads Christian Academy. Thank you.
All right, Chelsea's getting a lacrosse physical today, so hopefully she'll be back next week. She's going to be playing a little lacrosse training this year. Great job as usual.
Always does a good job.
Yeah, no, I say it every week. I could not have done that when I was in high school. All right, it's time to find out who is on the Mr. and Miss basketball list. And Randall made some big changes this week. Randall, the Charlotte Catholic people going to be a little miffed at you this week.
It was a rough week for them the last couple of weeks. You know, a tough loss to Providence. And, you know, we talked about how this list is going to be a lot of moving pieces. And I think that's what we have here. Back on here is Kylie Chavis, who is averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, you know, on one of the best teams, not only in her area, but one of the best teams in the state. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Precious is averaging 19 points and 17 rebounds down at the Durham school. So a lot of moving pieces, and I'm sure the word is going to get out, and I'm sure I will hear about who is missing off this list, and I am okay with that. I am okay with that because sometimes, you know, these lists can give people a little extra motivation going into conference tournament week. So we'll see how it goes.
Alex, anything that jumps out at you here?
Yes, not a single Charlotte Mecklenburg School student athlete on this list.
See, I was waiting on you to pick up on that one.
And that is, it's inexplicable, and it's okay. It's okay because it's going to come back around. It's going to come back around, but in all honesty, it's inexplicable. There is no way in this world that what we have 12 young ladies on this list right here, that not a single Charlotte Mecklenburg student athlete is on any version of this list. There's just no way around it. And that's all I'm going to say right now, because it is going to come back around. So I'm not concerned about it, but there should not be an addition of this list without one.
Well, I know that
as one Langston Works loves to tell me when he's talking about his man crush in the NBA, men lie, women lie, numbers don't.
That's correct.
You know, I understand what you're saying, and you know, we talked about how much winning matters, and you know, as of right now, these are the 12 who I felt like, you know, they've been doing the job pretty consistently this season thus far.
Next week we're cutting to 8. It's going to be very interesting as we get down to
Randall, let me ask you a question. And I understand about the numbers thing, but do you see any girls from the CMS area? Because we don't, you know, everybody's not in Charlotte Mecklenburg schools, but do you see any girls from the area who you could take off their team? Because most of the good teams in the CMS area, they're balanced, and that's why you don't have the numbers. But is there any girl or girls you could take off a CMS team and say put her in a rural county and her numbers immediately go up to 30 points a game?
For sure. And I think, Gary, when you look at it like this, the players from CMS who have been on this list pretty much a lot of this season, who aren't on this list this week, if you take them off their teams right now, their teams would barely probably get to 500. So
I disagree with that.
So you're telling me if we take Blanca Thomas off that Charlotte Catholic team, that you think that's still going to be they're still going to be 20-2?
I didn't say that, but you said they wouldn't even get to 500. Here's the differentiator right here. A lot of these teams, and I've used this comparison for years. Let's go back to arguably the greatest NCHSAA team, certainly of the last 25 years, the 98-99 West Charlotte Lions. And I said NCHSAA because we all know that the best among NCISA was the 2015-16 Providence State Chargers. We'll talk about the shooting guard on that team a little later. But my point being, that West Charlotte team, you could have taken Jason Parker off of that team and they still would have contended for a state championship. Would they have been in top 10 to 15 national conversations without him? No. That's the effect.
Alex, I hear what you're saying, but there's under no way, shape, or form are you taking Blanca Thomas off that Charlotte Catholic team, and they're doing what they're doing. It's not close. You're not taking the engine that is Mia Zaris off that Myers Park team, and they're doing what they're doing, and you're not taking Sonali Moss off that South Meck team, and they're doing what they're doing. Those three players are extremely, extremely important pieces to what each of their respective teams do.
Well, Randall, you're making my point for me right there.
You said that without Jason that they would still be competitive, and I get that. Without those three, they wouldn't be competitive.
All right,
that's what I'm saying.
All right.
Well, you're making my point. So if how do all of them end up off the list?
Alex, we're going to table this for next week as we get down to 8.
We got a good debate right here.
Got a good debate going on. Rick is not doing anything with his boys list that's sparking any debate. But Rick, next week you got to cut to 8.
No new changes, but now's the time we see a little bit of clarity, and also coming up with the conference tournament playoffs and the private school championship. Now's the time to see some kids to move forward. I'm a firm believer big time players step up in big time games, and this week I'm going to be out and about seeing as many games in person. And there's a few people that in the back of my mind that I want to see before I sort of cut that list down to 8. But again, you look at this list, and the criteria that we're using is basically the best players on the best teams that have an opportunity to play for a state championship. It's going to be very difficult to cut this list from 12 to 8.
Alex, anything here jumps out at you?
I got one thing to say. Big time players step up in big games. That's all I got to say. Santana Moss, there you go. If Rick Lewis is coming to watch you this week, then there must be something that you're doing really, really well. Be it affirmed. Big time players step up in big games.
All right, let's check out the state rankings. Alex, what you got?
All right, Northern Guilford completed an undefeated regular season. No big shock there. These rankings right here reaffirm the statements I made in our previous segment, and you look at the power evident in Charlotte-Mecklenburg public and private schools right there, and the fact that these teams are so prominent in the state rankings just reaffirms the vitality of a number of student athletes who will be in the consideration process for our Miss Basketball Award when it all comes down to it.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that you can take Mia Zaris at Myers Park and take her out of the equation, and Myers Park would not be second in the state, just reaffirms her prowess and appropriateness for inclusion in the Miss Basketball consideration process.
You won't let it go, Randall.
But moving right along, pretty consistent throughout. And we see no real big shocks. Shelby in the 2A classification. And you have the 4A Fight Club in Charlotte Meck. You have the 4A Fight Club in Wake County Green Level with the big win over Apex Friendship earlier this week. So, I mean, they'll all be battling it out once again. Just great competition throughout. It's going to really make for some exciting games this week, some exciting playoff games, and exciting debate as we continue to move towards state championships and Ms. Basketball.
Yeah, I say watch out for that Salisbury team. Rick, what you got in the boys?
Well, you know what? When we do our homework early, the rankings become easier and easier as the season goes on because there's not much of a change. The only addition that we have into the rankings is Jordan out of Durham. They're 19-3. They won their conference championship. They plug in at number 16. And then also we added Gaston Day, who's been in the list before. They're 22-3. They won 2 games last week over a very good Northside Christian team, and they won their conference championship and get ready for the state playoffs. So all the other teams, not much movement whatsoever. You look at 1 through 12 or 1 through 13, no change whatsoever.
I tell you, that West Charlotte team, I keep saying it, going to 3A for the playoffs, I wouldn't want to play them. They are battle tested against, like Dwayne talked about how his ninth graders get battle tested against his varsity. West Charlotte's gotten battle tested against some of the best 4A teams in the state of North Carolina, and now they're about to go play 3A. I think the games are going to slow down. They have a championship pedigree. I think they're ready to make a run. I would definitely watch out for West Charlotte come the state playoffs.
In Langston, a lot of people may look at the list and see the record that West Charlotte has. They're 15-8. They've lost some games, but then again, you look at the games they've lost to. They've lost twice to North Meck. They've lost twice to Chambers. So it's sort of like the Player of the Year honors. You can't really penalize a team for playing a competitive schedule or tough teams.
Yeah. All right. Well, we reached the part of the show that is the highlight of the show. It's time for Gary and Randall to go at it in coach versus coach. So I'm going to put myself and Rick in the back and let y'all battle it out.
And here we are for another edition of Coach versus Coach with Gary Richmond and Randall Clark. Gary, I'd like to acknowledge before we begin that I paid tribute to your Cowboys earlier this week at school. Not sure many of my students understood it, but our boys basketball team won its first game in history this week. And I was up and down the halls all day long on class changeovers. How about those Firebirds?
At least somebody can do it.
Not sure how many of them caught on to the "How about them Cowboys" reference, but I did pay tribute to the Cowboys in doing so. And we're gonna go ahead and get started here right now. Randall already won the game show, so he lost the coin toss. So Gary, you want to defer or you want to receive?
I want to receive.
All right, here we go. A Florida high school student has started a petition to move the Super Bowl to Saturday as opposed to its traditional Sunday. It already has more than 100,000 signatures. Move the Super Bowl from Saturday to Sunday. What do you think, Gary?
Yes, definitely. And here is why. Sunday nights, first of all, you're going to lose a lot of kids in viewership, and you always want to grow your product, and you grow it through children. And so if they have to go to bed because the Super Bowl is ending late at night, you're cutting off a part of your future. Secondly, Monday, Super Bowl Monday has the highest absentee rate of any other day in the school year in the towns where the teams come from. Okay. Thirdly, it also has the lowest level of productivity of workers on Monday because they were out late on Sunday, if not increased absenteeism among employees at various companies all across the country because they stayed out late on a Sunday night and they're too tired to go to work on Monday. So I think you have so many down reasons for not having the game on a Sunday night. Have it on Saturday. You're not competing against college football or high school football. It could be a day of celebration. People could tailgate. It would help restaurants and bars because people don't have to worry about getting up to do something on Monday morning because they were out late or watching the game on Sunday. So I think it helps all involved to have it on Saturday. People have Sunday to recover before they get their week started out on Monday. I think it's an excellent idea, and I signed the petition.
Randall.
No, absolutely not. Like Super Bowl Saturday, that doesn't even sound right. Like, listen, I understand that when your team's in the Super Bowl, you want to stay out and party and do all that. That's fine and all. But we play 17 weeks on Sunday. there's no need to change what we do in the regular season. These guys have things that they like to do. It's bad enough that they added, Thursday night football and Saturday games in the playoffs. No, football is meant to be played in the NFL on Sundays. Let's play the Super Bowl on a Sunday. It's just like anything else. You got to get up and go to work on Monday. You got to get up and go to school on Monday. Those decisions have to be made. How long you going to let your kids stay up? If it's going to be 9 o'clock, 9:30, or you going to let them watch the whole game? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you still got to get up and go to work. You still got to get up and go to school. There's no reason to change this game from Saturday to Sunday. And I can't believe that this petition got 100,000 signees on it, because it's ridiculous.
Before we move on that, I'd like to add, Gary said that it would benefit everyone involved. Actually, there is one group that would be hindered by this. If that game was on Saturday night, you'd already see even more, or even an increase in already high and diminishing returns in church attendance on Sunday morning.
For that is 100% correct.
All right. Should high schools allow teams to advance the ball to half court in the final 2 minutes? Randall, start us off.
Listen, before we talk about advancing the ball, let's talk about adding a shot clock. I don't think you can jump the shot clock rule and then you want to move the ball. No, it doesn't even make sense. No, if you're not going to have a shot clock, then we don't need to worry about advancing the ball. You can't have one rule change and then not change the rule that's more important. No, until we fix this in the state of North Carolina to where we add a shot clock. Once we add a shot clock, then we can worry about moving the ball and advancing it. But in my opinion, the ball doesn't get advanced in college. So if the ball doesn't get advanced in college, we don't need to advance the ball in high school.
Gary.
I wouldn't say the final 2 minutes. I would say the final minute. It would lead to more exciting endings, because it's going to take some time to advance the ball in the backcourt. Teams are more likely to press. I think it would be unique to high school. It's something that they do in the pros, to try to give the team that's behind a greater opportunity to win. I know there would be those that argue, hey, you play 32 minutes, you have time to win. So why would you make the last minute any different than the last 31 minutes? I just think it just adds to the intrigue of a close game at the end. But you are changing the rules at the end of the game that weren't present at the beginning of the game.
And yes, I'll go ahead and affirm for everyone. Everyone knows that I am a defensive guy. So no, it should not be advanced. You're penalizing the defensive team right there. So if you can press full court and force a turnover, as far as an exciting ending, no, it's an exciting ending because my man did what he was supposed to do defensively. We got the stop and won the game. That's exciting enough for me right there. As for what fans consider exciting, I could care less as long as my team wins. Oh, and yeah, by the way, in terms of these things happening in college and in the pros, if we in education-based athletics ever begin making rules for the infinitesimally less than 0.1% of high school student athletes who ever will sniff college, let alone professional basketball, then we are in trouble and we are undercutting the formative mission and efficacy of education-based athletics. And lastly, are we allowing too many teams into the playoffs? Should we add a week to the regular season and cut the postseason? What do you think, Gary? Start us off.
No, I think it's fine to have that many teams. What you run into in football is you can only play one game a week, whereas in basketball you can play 3, sometimes even 4 if you include Saturdays during the week. So I think the playoffs are just right. It may take a little bit away from the regular season, but it also adds to the regular season because you don't have the 2 dominant teams in a conference. The lower level teams still have something to play for as the season goes on. So I think it's just right where you can get more than 2 teams from a conference in the playoffs. I don't think you should cut it back. I think the number is great right now.
Randall.
As much as I like arguing with you, Coach Richmond, I think this is finally a question that you actually got right. I think that it's perfect the way it is. I think we allow the teams in that should be in, and I think, you know, with us having the conference tournament, it really allows us to gauge where certain teams are at, and for that reason, I think, you know, we're in a good position.
And I'm going to make it unanimous there. We're in a situation where, whether the term is used or not, there are power conferences in high school athletics, and we have power conferences in Charlotte-Mecklenburg. We have power conferences in Raleigh-Wake, and having the number of teams that we have right now and multiple teams from a conference being able to get in is reflective of that power-based reality and does give those opportunities that Gary and Randall spoke about in terms of more teams in your top 2 having something for which to play and be able to reflect the competitive parity, the high-level competitive parity in their conferences. So, yes, Randall, Gary, right on point. We're in a good spot.
All right. Well, there you have it, Coach.
Hey, let me add one more argument to this Super Bowl thing.
All right.
All right. The country shuts down for the Super Bowl pretty much. It doesn't shut down for the World Series. It doesn't shut down for the NBA championship, the national title in football or basketball. So why not make it on a Saturday when more people can participate than on Sunday? That's my argument.
So you're telling me that you really think that people aren't going to participate in the Super Bowl because it's on a Sunday and not a Saturday?
Huh?
You really think that people aren't going to participate in the Super Bowl because it's on a Sunday?
I think you'll have more people to watch on Saturday than you do on a Sunday. I really do.
I think
just because
I hope we never get to see that.
The Super Bowl does crazy ratings every year. I kind of agree with Gary. I would kind of like to see it on a Saturday just so you could not have to go to work the next day after the Super Bowl. But I also get your point that we play football on most Sundays until later in the season. They add some Saturday games. But, you know, college football championships on a Monday and college football plays on Saturday. So it's not, you know.
I'd be very disappointed to see church attendance totals on Sunday mornings if the Super Bowl were played on Saturday.
You got 51 other Sundays for church.
Yeah, it's true. It'll be about the same.
I'll be there for 52.
Be about the same as the work totals on Monday. All right, it's time for the big star to give us his big word as we get out.
We had Coach Lewis on here earlier, and if you did not get to hear what he had to say, make sure you go back and listen. I think, as I said earlier, the most important thing he said was talking about players having an A-type personality. And to piggyback off that thought, playing JV basketball is not necessarily a bad thing. I think too many times players are concerned about, you know, I have to be on varsity as a freshman. If you're a kid that can develop that type A personality that everybody is not blessed to be born with on the basketball floor, it is extremely, extremely important. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen really, really good basketball players who have, you know, a B or C type personality and not an A type personality. And having an A type personality could change the whole trajectory of your basketball career, not only in high school, but also moving forward. So before you try to knock playing JV basketball, maybe you should look at the big picture and not just look at talking to your friends and saying, hey, I played varsity for all 4 years.
No, that's a great point. I think Dwayne made a great point. Another great show, guys. Big time argument on girls basketball. We're gonna definitely have to pick that back up again next week. When we have
Who's everybody's pick tonight?
Rams.
Rams run away.
Rams. We're filming on Sunday, guys, so people will watch this Monday night. But picking the Rams. We may all end up being wrong when people actually see this.
I'm pulling for Cincinnati, though.
Yeah, Joe Burrow does have that thing about him. So
I just want to see a close game.
Well, there's another pro league starting this spring too that I saw. So I don't know.
I'm looking forward to halftime more than anything, though.
Oh my goodness, there's gonna be a lot of.
I saw your Facebook post yesterday, Coach Richmond.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to halftime.
A lot of beats. All right, I'm Langston. That is Randall Clark, the best trainer I know. That's Alex Baskin sharing. That's Rick Lewis, the #1 voice of high school basketball in North Carolina. I say it every week because I mean it. And that's my friend Gary Richmond, and we are Talking Preps.